each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the holy grail.
Improvise. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.
All of my multidimensional parts themselves are working in coherent union with this I am presence because I declared my apex, I've accepted, and I continue not to give away power that would take me out of the apex point of coherent unity.
And that's so vital. I remember I was discussing with a friend of ours the other day about staying in absolute sacred neutral. Not allowing yourself to go one way or the other, for putting yourself into polarity at these moments as we're endeavoring to find ourselves and really take on the porousness and malleability finally of this reality that we can start to really make manifest now. It was a really interesting conversation because when it comes to personal, deeply personal things, relationships, trust, and as people go through their own changes, one has to in themselves remain sacred neutral even though they felt hurt by that other being and their actions or non-actions. It's something that came so much into focus already in the beginning of this year. I mean, that's the first thing you said about this whole year to the audience is staying in sacred neutral. Mm-hmm. And this is great because when we work with things like remote view, it is key to be at that moment. You're just there as the observer, and in being able to practice these sorts of skill sets affords your soul at that moment to actually be, just for that moment that you're practicing that skill, in that sacred neutral, in that moment of now, in that beingness of all. And that gives yourself a respite just for that moment of the matrix. And some people, when they practice this skill, they find if they've practiced it for many, many, many hours, when they look at themselves in the mirror afterwards, they find that their skin is looking younger. For some reason, the aging process changed. You've noticed that as well? That's one of the great benefits of doing this kind of work that I also wanted to mention at one time point.
Once you learn the nature of connected sovereignty, you connect to a whole new different part of the life force.
Yeah. That
just is continuously feeding you, even though you may still have feeding tubes giving things to other parts of this reality. It's still nurturing that inside co-creative you who's the inner child, still innocent and still ready to create with the world.
Yeah.
That's in everyone. And yes, attitude is everything. And at any moment, no matter how angry you are, you can flip into that.
Change it in a moment.
You can change it in a moment. It may not be pleasant, but you can change it and make a very special moments out of that. And I've been challenged with that in my life over and over and over again. Like I've told you, at time people expected me to be the trick dog everywhere I went.
Yeah.
And to the moment you go, no, I don't need to do any of that.
Yeah, I'm not the reason for your party. I'm just here as a guest, sort of thing.
You know, I can't even begin to tell you how many emails a day that I get. You know, emails, Facebooks, all the things that people are asking me for 5 minutes of my time. If I did that, I wouldn't ever do shows because there's 300-400 waiting all over. But all of that, that's why I do these shows. It's reached a point where this frequency I'm sharing, these skill sets that I'm sharing, I want to impart to you. And Debbie said something earlier, maybe by osmosis I can learn this skill. And for some people, they do learn it through osmosis. I do read the chat. I do go into the League of Consciousness Explorers, and I see people immersing themselves in how he does it, and they don't even care about the information. It's how he does it, because it comes out so much in a flow, and that's what they ultimately desire. And it's their own heart which will pull them into the direction of the truth of their information, but the mechanical part of what I do is what they're connecting to.
And what's
I've got a question.
Sure, go ahead, Debbie.
When you were talking about, and Natalie was talking about that as well, before a show, that you you look into the future and see already what the show is going to be. Do you tune into all the people? Can you pick up all the frequencies of all of those people who are going to tune into your show and present the show along those lines?
Let's put it this way. Let's say I have a 5 o'clock show. And at 3:15, I finish doing whatever my day is doing, and I know I have an open time where I'm going to do nothing else other than get ready for a show. I do what's called a peek. I just let my third eye open up, and I just get a quick synopsis. It's like when you're watching your favorite TV show and you've been watching it for years, and they give you what happened the last couple episodes. I come in somewhere during the live show, and I get a quick synopsis. That's the first peek. The second peak is where I sit down and, all right, I'm ready to experience what the total potential of the audience is, where I let that synopsis be a synopsis of each individual person who's coming for a mechanical, spiritual, denial, whatever reason there. It adds up to a total amount of karma in the system because I'm still functioning in the system. And I take that value of karmic retribution, debt, whatever it is, and I raise the level of what my information is to zero out everything through the sacred neutral expression. During that time, each individual will be going through healings or impressions, ups and downs, which then ups and lowers that cap of what my total potential is. And then there comes a point where those that are dropping out take the energy lower, and there are those that are jumping above my labeled potential, where I can bring it up and up and up, and through individual words, soliloquies, I can hammer out to just individuals deep impressions of something they need to understand and only come through the cadence and rhythm of the word, not necessarily the meaning. So that's that second synopsis, and then just before I go into a show, it's like dumping into the deep end of the cold pool.
Yeah. But I mean,
I got my little ritual that I do. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, how many times have you? I mean, when I've been looking at the chat, how many times have I been seeing those questions, and you've already started answering them before they were even. I mean, that was just so great because you've already tuned in, so you're taking that with the streams of how you can best serve the audience at that time. It's wonderful to watch. And a lot of the time, if you're not on the chat, there's so many synchronicities where things are being talked about or a question's asked, and Andrew will just out of the blue, he'll just answer it, or things that people have been really contemplating for a long time, and he'll just happen to talk about it, and they'll just be able to get their answers. And it's just so great when you get those emails when they share that experience, and it's worth all the preparation that you do for sure.
And for those out there that are new to the audience, this is tobacco. And one of the reasons I use tobacco, especially during shows like this where you guys are remote viewing, is we are keeping this area clear and clean. So I'm not trying to bring up a debate or an argument. Each person uses their plant medicine for their own purpose. Do not be in judgment. Do not be in justice. Just understand that each person's belief system is what takes them forward into their truth of what their words are. I don't recommend anyone to do anything unless your heart tells you to do it.
So our next caller is going to be, let's see if he's going to make it in time. I'm going to tell it anyway. No, I'm going to tell this one anyway. If you ever get cold, just stand in a corner for a bit. They're usually around 90 degrees.
Yeah.
Caller, welcome to the show. Is this Eric?
Yeah, this is Eric.
Hi, Eric. How you doing? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Naples, New York.
Naples, New York.
By the Appalachian Trail, by the Appalachian Mountains.
Nice, nice. So what kind of questions you want to ask?
Basically wrote down 5 questions, and they're ranging from this weekend, which this weekend was infused with a big ayahuasca journey and ceremony. But I have all 5 questions written down, and would it be best to read them off? one
Yeah,
by
go
one, or
Go ahead and read them all one by one.
all at once?
One by one. And we'll answer each
Okay.
one. I read the first one and we'll answer the first one.
My first question is, even though I humbly think I know, and my other cosmic brothers and sisters think they know, is what is ayahuasca really? Like, really, what is it other than the herbs, the plants, and, the shamanistic connection? And then the second question
Hold
is,
on, I'm gonna answer your first question.
okay.
Ayahuasca is individual jungle alchemy that has been given to a global world that has access to a global dreamtime jungle that can supply the knowledge and wisdom of the plant to the practitioner directly at the moment, so a no-time experience can be had that reconnects them to other points in past lives where they use the same energy, ayahuasca or some other DMT-based form, to connect into a colloquial version of now's energy frequency of all life sentient beings in a form of balance. And if you were a form of imbalance during the ayahuasca, you would get back into balance. So if you were great into the light, you'd have a dark. If you're great in the dark, you'd have a light. In this modern experience, it's about blending all of the experiences out of you so you can get to the void experience, so you can retune your frequency of time to universal time or source-based earth time. Once you are in source-based earth time, you can then begin to make a fourth dimensional body that is different than the third dimensional body that you have now, so you can begin a bilocated or a forked source stream time life.
Okay, got it. Is there a way that it can be broken down in like pivot points or something?
Say that again?
Is there a way that could be like synopsized, or that does cover it? Does ayahuasca exist on other planets and other worlds?
Yes, it does.
Or something similar?
In fact, the plants that create ayahuasca physically exist on as many as 60% of the plants in our galaxy. They just look a little different. Whole galaxy. Wow. It's a galaxy-wide plant program of direct connection to source frequency of time. That's why its network is so big. That's why when ayahuasca was seeded here on Earth and the shamans began to use it, they understood that the best of the best of the best made it here to Earth in this 54 million year times 4 paradox galactic ascension machine, and they needed something that would help clear out the system of these multidimensional, multiphotonic light beings that had 6 or 7 streams of time built inside them from the timeline wars. And ayahuasca is the perfect time war deprogrammer, bringing them back to the void of neutrality, or unobservance, or no personality, or no I am presence, back to the original soul frequency spark stream that they were.
Okay, got it. And the third question with that is ayahuasca interconnected or associated with the crystal skulls?
It can be dependent on the practitioner's faith, belief system, as well as their DNA connection to the original skull builders. So yes and no. It all depends on the practitioner.
Okay, got it. My second question is a more personal one, and that associates with my personal connection, being a former U.S. Air Force military serviceman and possibly interconnected with the Super Soldier program. And I've been wanting to know some distinct questions I've been asking, crying, and screaming out about my whole life, as it may associate with different time traveler programs, possibly the Pegasus Project. And, I keep somehow connecting it with Ursa Major, the constellation. And I really want to know more about, the military governmental Black Ops connection as it associates with both this timeline, other timelines, and possible past lives in a more interpersonal connection for myself.
So to answer the question, are you a super soldier? Yes. Now, the audience is going to be listening to this, and this is something that's very personal. And I'm going to make a choice to go forward with this because I've worked with a number of other super soldiers in a live scenario, and I'm going to do this just so you understand. You were not part of Project Pegasus. You were part of Project Halcyon. And Halcyon is a whole different understanding of mythology. There are other worlds.
Halcyon?
Yeah, no. It's other worlds that exist in the Galactic Ascension Machine. There are 66 planets in the Galactic Ascension Machine. We're really only aware of the common ones that we accept now. And Halcyon is a world that, like Project Pegasus, purpose was to take over Mars. In this instance, Project Halcyon was to take over another planet separate of Mars. So a completely separate space program, compartmentalized away from Project Pegasus, was created. Now, does this relate to other projects such? Yes, it does, but it was a Caribbean-based Black Op project.
You say Caribbean?
Caribbean-based.
Peruvian, right.
Caribbean. And, well, Peruvian would have been anything that's operating in the Caribbean theater is going to be using the Peruvian or Bolivian gateways. Those are the gateways into the 7 future generations astral realms, and that's where they create these dimensional rift portals to get the secret space ships off-world. Because you can't actually get a ship off-world unless you do specific things to the planetary's atmosphere. The way rockets take off is not actually real. There's a whole other process that's a part of it.
My other question as it associates with that is right now, because of being connected with the Super Soldier Project, I've been basically, as I've heard you say before, I've almost gotten booted and kicked out, but, basically Humpty Dumpty got put back together and I was Humpty Dumpty, and I want to know if there's anything else more I can do as it associates with, like, my VA military compensation, or I'm hearing the audience out there, how can we get off the nipple of the government and not have to solely rely on the government? I see the benevolence of the government, but relying on their federal income as, help me heal. At the same time, I'm wondering how to make more of an earning, more of a living, and being more of an entrepreneur independent of that federal compensation.
Great question. And my first answer to you is you must take self-nourishment and self-healing to a whole different level that it's ever meant to you before. So you can understand what it's going to take to get you off of the nipple that's been feeding you for a lifetime, to get into that entrepreneurship where information or products can easily flow into direct abundant manifestation. You're at a point where you need to heal your physical body. You need to heal your spirit. You need to connect to your dreams again. You need to feel that you can become inspirational and creative and not have worry of your energy being stolen or taken away. You need to have this spiritual bunker in which you can go into to have thoughts and ideas so you can begin to manifest in this world. So what I'm going to say for is you really need to do the classic spiritual hygiene of protecting your bedroom, flipping your mattress every week, making sure that there are no mirrors inside your bedroom. If there are, take them out or cover them up. It's vital that you get sleep, effective sleep. If you have sleep apnea or snoring, put on the nose bands or the CPAP machine. Do not ignore it. The more sleep that you lose, the less energy you have to overcome the nipple effect, that need to have an extra sip of the milk of the old mother.
Well, my question with that is because they misdiagnosed me with insomnia. It's like the money I receive has been associated and correlated with the best possible sleep hygiene and the best possible spiritual cleanliness I know. And at this point, I've done almost everything I can do other than, completely disconnect from that income stream. It's an interesting current of energy, but it has affected the dream time.
You cannot disconnect from that income stream yet. You're not ready to. You don't have a network to fall back on. You also need a land that you can call your own if you're going to be getting off of that network or getting off the grid. You still need a place to heal, a place to call sanctuary. Sanctuary means that it doesn't have the threat that the bank's going to take it away.
Okay, I get that point. Is there anything else I need to know about that super soldier interconnection? Because it's been probably the biggest PTSD traumatizing thing, and I hear the other voices of the other former soldiers and the other VA members out there, and some of them have been kicked and booted, and I can maybe only speak for myself, but is there anything else, a minor detail I need to know about that?
Yeah. Let me organize the right thoughts for this. The VA itself is trying to do the best it can, and it's a bunch of little fiefdoms that are run by government agents. So when it comes to understanding the PTSD, you have to come to terms that it was a spiritual contract. And the VA is also a spiritual contract that it says it's going to support you for the efforts that you gave in the support of the project or effort or war or whatever it was that you did. When it comes to the super soldier part, this is where contract revocation is your greatest tool. This is where you break all contracts, vows, and agreements with the citizen that originally created this bond with the military. Apply at all dimensions, time stream, galaxies, and universes your statement when you're saying I'm breaking contracts, vows, and agreements with the military, every aspect that I am unaware of that has changed my life form. I am a manifesting, co-creating being of the now. Become the apex of your own hierarchical order and declare to the system it has no power over you. Reclaim all of your lost memories by beginning to tell your story to the fire. Have you heard me talk about that?
Yes, numerous times, and I have done that. I did that recently in this ayahuasca ceremony.
And how did it go, telling your story during ayahuasca?
It allowed me to purge, and then it allowed, as the revocation was going out, allowed me to purge, purify, and then allowed an invocation to come in, which brought back certain memories as it associated with different ancestral connections, surprisingly connected with, Italy and Rome and that gladiator time frame as well. Yep,
that was resolving a time where you were in the slave grid and had to murder for the slave master. You would kill people because that was your job as a slave. And if you didn't do it, you were killed and replaced. And you valued your life at that point. Is that bad?
Yeah.
No, that was a survivor being that was key in the functionality of your light body so you could go through what you went through this lifetime. And that's why you saw that in that vision during the ayahuasca ceremony.
The way part of the ayahuasca ceremony began, as I'm leading into another question, is, and it may be interconnected, is I was wondering, and I attempted to utilize the I Am Presence the most powerful way I knew how. Is it possible to pilot and or interconnect with CERN? And I'll be honest, I got in or hacked in for about 5 to 15 minutes and got booted out. And I know it's possible now, but I don't even know what piloting would mean as it relates to CERN. And all.
I'll break the rules here. Yes, you can hack CERN psychically. I do not recommend it to anyone out there that is not ready for kickback. And I mean kickback. Yes, they frequently forget to watch the psychic doorways as well as the computer doorways out there because they are paying contractors to observe their own projects. And when one is careful and very strategically oriented in the way that they're going to interface with the artificial intelligence to alter the nature of the programs that they are, or to even remove them from CERN completely, yes, it can be done, but it's not something that can be done directly out in the open in their sacred geometry cities or anything to that effect. It would have to be done on a very powerful sacred place that would have other people that are war-experienced people there to create sacred space to protect you from the kickback. Once the system realizes it's hacked, past, present, or future, it sends beings back from the future or the past to directly affect you at that moment that you're doing the ceremony. And if you do not have a backup of 10, 8 or 6 people that are spiritually powerful enough and were previously in war experience, they're ready to hold space and to do not necessarily spiritual combat, but spiritual reinforcement of the energy grids that are around you in the land where you're creating this hacking/interface scenario. So if you have that, you can go far. Then the second process is when you're done, you may have 200, 300, or 400 remote viewer contracts that are based in Israel or the Sudan or some other wares that are going to begin observing you through 1 degree of separation and trying to track you back to your original point where you got this idea, which they will find out here. And then they will discover that for this process to go forward, you have to make a choice in no time to do it and have to have the comrades to call upon it. So if you're intending to hack the system, you're not going to do it on your own. You need your spiritual special operations team.
Okay, yeah, the great sacred synchronicity here is that the computer being utilized has, gone through Switzerland before, and it actually passed by CERN, a few years ago.
Yep.
And the area here is called Little Italy, Naples, and it's actually notorious being known as like Switzerland connected, even in New York.
Yep.
We had only about 3 people, working with this, but more people would be helpful, and I feel like it's something I've done before, which is the paradox. And, be more careful next time around. But I appreciate, the fact that it's not about combat. It's basically about, reinforcement and, having the clear intention as to what, the reasoning behind CERN, and even as it connects with galactic time and the other worlds and other mini versions of CERN that are in the different metropolitan cities. I've seen the mini.
You got it. You totally understand the cipher of what I've been telling about CERN. It's everywhere.
Yeah, I particularly saw it in Minneapolis, and that's as far as I'm going to go there.
Yeah.
But I know that it exists in basically every other metropolitan city, oddly enough, or depending on how you look at it. So,
wherever there is a modern paved road, there is one.
Yes. My other secondary personal question is it possible, as it relates to a particular I say quasi in a liberal fashion, soul family member or, hacked or archonic soul family member, I'll go so far to saying that, and if you require a name, not so much, how do I do a personal soul contract revocation, removal, and or permanent spiritual divorce with this person in past, present, and future, all lifetimes and worlds? This person has caused major havoc in my life and I think other people's lives.
Is this an incarnate person in the flesh?
In the flesh, yes.
Let me decide. Is it from the military?
No, it isn't. Anyone from the military, someone that got intertwined with me quantumly, a few years after, and it's caused, major havoc or what would be considered vampirism and.
Okay, I got what you're saying. I got what you're saying. And here's an example that you'll be able to go back and listen to. It's I in the ever-present moment of now. Choose to summon the mighty I am self to make boundaries and declarations of who I am, what I am in all dimensions, time streams, galaxies, and universe. I banish, block, and remove this person's name, that said there, from my existence in all dimensions, time streams, galaxies, and universes. I allow myself to enter this spiritual court of equity completely free and severed from their connection to me. In this spiritual court of equity, all energy in which I have ever shared with them is returned to the spiritual court of equity. All energy that they have taken from me, I demand its instant return, and all energy they have given to me, I return to the spiritual court of equity. So our energies may be completely 100% zero balance back to my universal immigration status to this universe. So I will accept no source frequency of time connection from this being ever.
Okay, got it. Is this a type of revocation that would particularly help others that may have similar
Yeah, I
situations?
kind of made it as open as possible, but that is the intention, and you become more surgical by using the individual's name many more times during it, and then include physical memories of betrayal where you know they exactly betrayed you, where you block all contracts, vows, and agreements from that moment, passing any other betrayal onto any other version of yourself. Because when people are incubus or succubus or doing what they're doing to you, they're not just affecting you in this reality, they're trying to affect you in other realities. You know, it may be a girlfriend that tears your heart out, but this lifetime it tore your heart out, but your heart is affected 90 lifetimes ago, and it may be there 90 lifetimes ago trying to alter who you are, so the new being who has a heart recreational moment is imprinted in a different way.
And the divine feminine, divine masculine revocations as it relates to the incubi and succubi, is that, enough as it relates to incubus and succubus energies? And is that something that might be prevalent in some of these projects or black op projects that may be covert?
Incubus and succubus has actually been extracted as DNA and then inserted into many DNA lineages so that birthing mothers could be forced to give birth to actual physical incubus and succubus. In the past, the incubus and succubus was just an energy that possessed people like a demonic force, and then its whole concept was hijacked and forced into flesh. And yes, they're all throughout the military and have done and have been thus in the military for thousands of years. For as long as there was a sword or a bow and arrow that's been murdering people in war, there have been incubus and succubus in the flesh. And they try to make clans of themselves.
Is there a way to close certain vector portals from the past as it associates with these different time-traveling connections interrelated with the incubi-succubi kind of connection?
Well, if you take the one line from the divine masculine revocation that talks about incubus and succubus, that is generally enough for closing the portals. But if you're working with something that has exchanged a lot of energy with one particular person like yourself or maybe somebody else that's out there, once isn't enough. You need to create long-term rituals where you understand you allowed yourself to share energy with something that was very dark and negative, and you need to forgive yourself of that, because you cannot have hesitation about loving something else. Gaining back that trust that you can love something else is vitally important to heal from the incubus or succubus possession time when they were around you.
And could this kind of energy have affected what is called a lineage incursion?
Absolutely.
And what's the solution with that?
What's the resolution with lineage incursion? It all depends if the incubus and succubus is there to hijack the lineage as the soul family matrix members, the head soul family, or if it's just temporary using the lineage as a hotel.
It feels like both, the fact that you said that.
Well, it can be, because remember, an incubus and a succubus, it's a multidimensional being. Just because it's born in the flesh doesn't mean it's only trapped in the flesh. It's just another experience that it has.
Okay, got that. I guess.
Actually, we got to end the call. The other one's already waiting.
Okay, yeah. All right. Okay.
All right, man. This was really fun. Thanks a lot. This was a special teaching for a lot of people. Thank you for asking those questions.
Thank you so much, Andrew, and have a great journey. Have a great galactic adventure for sure.
All right, brother. Keep on trucking on. You got a good future ahead of you.
Thank you.
Special readings. Somebody from the military.
Very amazing.
I just got to take a break for a second. I was really into the field there. Ooh.
Oh, no. I was mesmerized.
Your turn to tell a joke.
I'm not prepared.
All right, let's take on the next caller.
Next caller is from Bogota, Colombia.
Bogota, Colombia.
Oh my God. Can you hear
made it.
me? This is awesome.
How you doing
Hi,
today?
Andrew.
What's your name?
My name is Juana.
Hi, Juana.
Oh, I want to thank you for everything you have done for me in the last couple of years through your teachings.
Aw. What has been
It has really changed my life.
What is it that has changed your life?
Well, number one, just living in a world of magic, you know, of synchronicities, of alignment, of love. And I really needed that. I'm sorry, I'm crying.
It's okay. My heart goes out to you, giving you blessings.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyway, you have been the most amazing teacher. And every time I run into trouble while meditating or when I don't understand something, I go to you and you're always there for me. So thank you. All right. Okay. I can put down the tears for later.
Okay. So what did you want to talk about today?
A couple of days I had a ceremony with Yahe here in my country. Mm-hmm. And it was a beautiful experience. And I thought a lot about you while it was happening because I had no visions, right? Mm-hmm. Which is pretty strange for that type of ceremony. Yeah. But there was a lot happening at the same time. And, well, I wanted to find out from you if there was a reason why I couldn't have a vision. And I'm okay with the fact that I didn't, but that was one question. Okay. And the other question had to do with, I went to a very powerful place here in my country a few weeks ago, and my feet got really swollen for about 2 weeks, and nothing will heal them. And I felt like I picked up an illness from the land. And I'm healed now, but I just want to know if that's what took place. So those are my two questions at the moment.
All right. So did you were you doing ayahuasca? What medicine were you using?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you do
ayahuasca.
one ceremony or 5 nights of ceremony?
No, I did the first one Saturday night, and I will be doing 2 ceremonies tomorrow. One with the Inipi ceremony and
you will have
right
your
after.
Experience. And it's key to continue the experiences. Now, why didn't you have it? You weren't ready. You still had a lot to purge. Ayahuasca is a purger, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Until you get into that moment of surrender and you go, oh, my Lord, I need my unconditional love. And pang, it's there.
I did feel love, and I felt the medicine was scanning my blood, my entire body. Yes. And it was doing some physical healing. And emotional healing, and that's for certain.
And DNA surgery. There were certain aspects to the lineage that you were born in that there were these very subtle blocks to great power. And what they're trying to do is set you up for a vision that's just going to proverbially give you a wedgie. It's going to give you a wedgie. It's going to be big. Okay?
Wow, thank you. Mm-hmm.
Because you are a powerful being, and they cannot give you a 10-year-old's medicine trip. It needs to be tailored for you. That helps you understand your part of the purpose in Great Mystery's plan. The way I am able to do what I do is I understand my part in the plan. I don't need to change it or compete against anything.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, it's understanding the next non-competitional process for you. How to stop competing with all the other spiritual people out there with what your experience means to you. To learn co-creation with the medicine. To learn equal co-creation, non-competitional, non-hierarchical order, and make that a part of your daily, weekly, and monthly process.
Okay. Makes sense.
Now, the medicine itself is going to give unique visions. I can't give any away of it because it's their fireworks show. Okay?
That's all right. Yeah.
So what happened with the feet swelling, was that a negative energy from the area? It was more like ancestral energy was very off there, and your feet swelled to stop you from taking up more negative ancestral energy.
That's what it felt. I felt the region of Colombia where I was at, there is a lot of plant medicine there too, you know, the sacred coca leaf.
Yep.
But there is a lot of corruption, and I felt that there was a fight of the energy of the plant, you know, the beautiful sacred energy versus the corruption of that energy within that land, you know, not just in my country or the world, but it was...
Right.
I felt it very strongly.
Right. And I could give people out there some nightmare stories of people that have come to have ayahuasca tours and been taken advantage of by shamans by all over that area. And there are some places in Peru and in Bolivia where it's, you know, like every bar is offering ayahuasca on Thursdays and it's free ladies' night.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah,
no.
It's become that bad. And I advise anyone that's going to go on journeys, make sure you do your research. There's a lot of scam artists out there. Okay?
Okay, that answers my question as far as the sweet swallowing. That was pretty awful.
Okay. So you said you're doing your next journey tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah.
The irony, you had one yesterday, you called on the show, and here you are. So at this moment, I'm actually talking to the plant communities right now, and it's not often that I get to do that live on a show. So just give me a second to finish the little joke that they got going with me.
All right.
All right, so there's going to be at some point during this medicine journey that you're going to break down and laugh as if your sides are splitting from pure universal joke. All right?
Okay.
And this is a prophetic moment just for you. As you begin to understand the universal joke, all of these patterns are going to come into recognition for you. Former life patterns, this lifetime, other lifetimes, and it's going to line up to show you your path to the stars and beyond. How to be a mediator and translator to our star brothers and sisters, so that they have someone...
Which I have been doing before, Andrew. I wanted to ask you about the translation too, so I'm sorry to interrupt you. Continue, please.
Except you're going to be able to be a telepathic translator. Okay? That's what they're setting you up for. They're setting you up to have full-on communication with physical beings who aren't medicine beings, who are in ships, who need a direct translator of their culture so that we don't misunderstand them when they say, hey, I want to become friends, let's make first contact.
Got it.
Okay? And there are many species out there that uses a dialect of telepathy that's built inside your DNA. And that's some of the DNA surgery that the first round of medicine did on you. Have you found yourself at all doing any light languages over your life?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
A lot of them, very different kinds, and a lot of them sound also like animal speak, like crickets or dolphins or like
So
insects.
can you give me a sample of your light language?
No, I can't right now. I have to be in like deep meditation to do that, and I'm so excited. I can concentrate.
Okay, I'm gonna try to trigger you a little bit, even if you can get one or two words. I just need to hear a frequency. Hiko, yaka, shumaka, hata nata, tamo hi tanaka, kashimoni, nika, makaji, shomana naka, kashamata takata, chimo, mochotaka.
This is so hard right now.
I know. Just try a couple words.
Oh yeah. I get very nervous just to know that people is listening.
It's okay.
When it starts, it goes on for. I remember you talked to another caller a couple days ago about when they start their light language too, that it goes on for like 45 minutes to an hour. Yeah, that's how it is for me. Once I start, I can't stop, and it just goes. But it's different.
I got it. You don't have to push yourself. I got what was in your frequency. All right. So what I would like for you to do is to begin to practice 5 minutes of talk without it having to be 45 minutes. And I want you to
How do I do that?
Choice.
Okay.
And you say out loud to yourself, I'm engaging the sacred frequency so that I can go 5 minutes and stop and process and write down what I think I said. This is my human discerning and interacting with the medicine that I've been learning and speaking my whole life. It is my sovereign duty to study and discern every aspect and angle of it, and I make it my sovereign choice to slow this process, observe, discern, and co-create with.
Okay.
You grab hold of this skill, you are going to be the eternal translator to tens of thousands of species.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Andrew.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're so special.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, and so much happiness at this moment. May I ask you a couple more questions?
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay. Regarding the advanced heart meditation, I've been doing that in the last week a couple times. And I feel that when I am doing this step in regards to the healing of the pericardium, there is a lot of damage and a lot of pain there that I feel I release, but I'm not able to. I feel like there is something there that I can't access completely. There is like a heart barrier.
All right.
Of sorts.
Okay,
do I need to do it every day? How often should I do the advanced heart meditation too?
The heart meditation is all about the level of adult intent you're giving to each aspect of it. So clearing of the pericardium is taking the time, how time takes, wounds take time to heal, certain emotional love takes time to heal, so on and so forth. The pericardium is the filter of time and how it damages the heart. So when you're healing the pericardium, you're ultimately healing the heart and allowing time to not be so damaging to certain wounds. You are modifying it. Now, this is where you can imprint into the blood as well as the water that's in the pericardium a newer form of letting go. This is where you're going to begin to imprint the fetus into the pericardium as well as the heart. Bringing more of your I Am Presence meditative awareness to the part that you believe you're being blocked with. Now, part of what's going on there is you've got some very ancient waters that you're not letting go of. Previous heart-based experiences that you're going to start purging on your second, third, and fourth, round here shortly.
Okay.
So what I would do is, as part of your preparation for the next ceremony, is to focus on the blood in the existing body, the marrow in your body, and all of the water that's retained into you to have these new programs of cleaning the heart, cleaning the internal energy systems, assisting the purging of what's going to be going on with your ayahuasca process, so you can have a deeper mystical connection.
Okay.
Now, have you done the shaman's death?
Oh, yeah. Many times. I love it.
Okay. What are some of the other ones that are connecting? Have you done the consciousness strike?
Yes, about 3 or 4 times. Okay. And I cry every time. I love it. I feel very good at doing the revocations, with some power.
Will they allow you to do the revocations during your journey, your medicine journey?
I think I'll have to do them before or after because it's very silent the way it's conducted.
You can't just read it while you're there. You don't have to necessarily read it out loud, or you just into your own quietness. You don't have to yell it out.
I think I will be allowed to do that if I ask permission.
Yes.
I don't see why not.
I would like for you to use the consciousness strike, and then any of the other ones that appeal to you at that moment to bring with you.
Okay, I can do that.
And you read them out slow. You read them out slow like you normally do, and you allow yourself to be introspective, to allow each word to assist you on the greater process of being a sacred, neutral witness being who has the ability to say no to the negative forces and yes to unconditional love first.
Okay, I definitely can do that. And I printed them all, like all the ones that I had saved throughout the months. You have a lot of revocations out there.
I know. I put all those out there as tools for people to begin to learn on their own. And when they want to make the transition to the online course, it's waiting. And when they want to make the transition to come to the live event, which is going to be this October 5th through the 8th, then they make that journey. I'm not teaching people to live in mediocrity. I'm teaching self-illuminated masters the discerning skills it becomes to take what it takes to become grand self-illuminated masters on the journey to the stars and beyond.
Yeah.
That's the unlimited point of view. And everyone will find their own way to the unlimited point of view. So many people come to the couch on this particular radio show. You know why? Because they want to hear the unlimited point of view. They want to hear what the Akashic Record has to say, translated in 26-letter encoded English, because deep down their soul inside knows how impossible of a task that it is to encode the infinite in 26-letter English alphabet.
Yeah.
Okay? I didn't prepare one lifetime. I prepared 10,000 lifetimes to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of time in the astral world and other worlds, mastering the ability to simultaneously exist, even though I've gone through the birth canal of forgetting in thousands of wombs. Another part of me was born in another place that doesn't use the forgetting of the birth canal, which was ultimately part of my interconnectivity of all of that wisdom returning to me at a moment when I was 9 years old at a baseball game. And ever since that moment, having to accept that interconnectivity of all of my versions of self as in equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order. They're all me in a different expression, but all me in this expression too, if I should choose to engage them through that form of perception.
Yeah.
And part of your journey is a new form of perception of yourself, the way people relate to you, and how you're going to relate to this world as a highly prized commodity of a person with a skill set.
Wow. Big responsibility.
No, it's your purpose. Your responsibility, you're only responsible to your level of awareness and nothing more. When we are less than our responsibility, our spiritual hygiene is not in alignment. Okay? The universe will never put something in front of you you're not ready for.
True.
99.9% of it is just a change in perception and how we see it, so there's no charge and polarity creating fear. That's why the sacred neutral point of view is such a powerful perspective-based reality.
Yes.
So what other kind of questions do you want to ask?
Well, I don't know if this is pertinent, but in regards to my father, he passed already, but I always felt he was a time traveler. I'm right?
Yes.
Okay. And I do have the idea I will see him again.
You're probably going to see him in your medicine journey, but again, I cannot give away their fireworks show.
That's okay. That's okay. So, I mean, I have a lot of questions, Andrew. I have an issue with my digestion. I think I'm allergic to something and I haven't been able to pinpoint what it is. Where I get very swollen. You know, my stomach is very swollen, even if I drink just water. I have done different diets. I have done some colonics, not a lot. I did a lot of enemas, like home enemas. But I do feel there is an, like, I'm allergic to something, but I don't know what it is.
It's this reality.
Oh my God. Okay.
And part of your medicine journey is to build an immunity to this reality. Okay? Each sovereign breath you take will begin to help you understand the endurance of change. Change is easy. The endurance of change, that's the hard thing. Okay? I believe over the next several months, life is going to simplify for you if you allow it. And allow Great Mystery to be an equal co-creator in every day, every moment-to-moment life. That is what the medicine journey is meant to show you. Even without the medicine, it's there working with you every day if you should choose to make it a part of your perception, your daily communion and union process. One of the reasons I can tune into people and talk about their animal medicine or their journeys or where they've been in past lives, because I'm in communion and union with my skill.
Right.
Okay? I have a precognitive workforce of infinite Andrews out there that are already working on the next caller, the next 10,000 callers in potential.
Beautiful.
You have that as a legacy, and everyone in this watching the show has that as a legacy, to have a precognitive workforce, not one, millions. If you should choose to hold the responsibility of that awareness, and that using it does not mean you do it for instant gratification.
Right. Now, I do have a question regarding my skills.
Sure.
I feel like I have a lot. I just need to choose some to develop more, but I don't know which one should I concentrate on.
What are you doing right now concentrating on?
Well, I've been doing more Reiki lately, and every person I have given it to, had beautiful experiences. Soul retrievals, I did a lot, of that on myself first.
Are you doing Reiki level 3? What level are you at?
2.
I want you to go to Reiki level 3, and then consider going and taking the next form of Reiki. If you go to a website called Reiki.org, you'll see a teacher named William Rand. He's the main line that brought real Reiki to the United States versus a lot of the fake Reiki that's going around right now. And you're going to learn a form of Reiki that's called Karuna Reiki. And then you'll have another 6 symbols. So when you take Reiki 3, you'll get 3 more symbols. So you have a total of 6 symbols. So you have 12 symbology processes to work with.
Okay, I can do that.
You will be so enamored with Karuna Reiki that you're going to be so tickled pink that how much this set fits you. When I took Karuna Reiki, it really, really opened up a tremendous amount of, let's just say, gearing processes, what I could do with the healing.
When you mentioned a couple shows ago that you did future Reiki sessions to yourself, that was like, what? Why I didn't think of that? You know what I mean?
Supposed to be basic in Reiki too. That's like Dr. Hayashi and Dr. Takada and Dr. Usui. That was their main thing of how you healed people. If you made somebody Reiki level 2, it was because they were trying to send treatments forward and backwards in time to themselves with the directed strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, that really resonated with me tremendously.
As of the beginning of this year, I sent 452 treatments forward to myself for the rest of the year. That took me around 12 days to do. But that's what I did at the beginning of the year for myself. Okay?
Wow, that's some sacred discipline. Beautiful.
But it was easy because I was so much in joy saying, future, look out. I'm coming.
Wow.
All right? It was because I did it in such joy every year that the discipline becomes simplistic for me. Simplistic. Was I doing it full 12 days? No, I did it about 2, 3, 4 hours a day. But I had done it so much, I've refined my skill set to know where I hold my stresses, where my faults are, and my victories, and able to enforce the victories and the good stuff and make sure that the stuff that's not so good in me doesn't have the ability to grow. Precognitive weeding of the yard.
Makes sense.
Okay. If you can figure out how to send 5 treatments a month ahead to yourself, you will be 1,000,000 times beyond any other healer out there. And they're the most predictable times. Every morning you're going to get up and have your coffee, do whatever. Pick one of the more solid times where you could be aware of yourself, sending a treatment and saying, hey, it's 9:15. I sent myself a treatment. I now open myself up and allow my divine force to pass on the legacy of the healer to me now, who is sending me through focus, through time, space. Thank you, sister of the past, passing on the legacy of responsibility.
I can definitely do that.
Okay? Life's going to change for you. And anyone else out there that wants to take up that mantle of self-responsibility. Okay? Any last questions you want to ask?
Yeah, I have a little painful one.
Okay.
I want to know if a particular relationship that I have with someone is like a karmic thing that I'm going through, or if it's a soul contract situation. You know, I'm having a hard time understanding it.
What is the person's first name and date of birth?
Date of birth is 24 April 1992, and his name is Robert.
And how did you meet him?
He's the son of my ex-boyfriend.
And what is going on with the relationship with you and him now?
There is some misunderstanding in regards to him and his sisters. He feels I damaged their relationship, and he doesn't want to speak to me, and there is some very negative emotion in regards to me from him. And if I did something, I did it in unawareness, so I haven't been able to heal it. I don't feel I did, but...
So first thing first,
Mm-hmm.
he has a lot of his own issues to deal with. And he came in with a contract to not have a full mother, to have a broken relationship with the father and mother process, so that he could heal that in him this lifetime. So you chose to be the wall that would have the shit thrown at it by him. Now, you can heal yourself of whatever projection he has by saying, I don't need to adhere to your point of view, for you were just a little tiny kid growing up and didn't know how real adults had to live. Okay? That's the first part. Okay? He doesn't know how real adults had to live growing up. And now that he's an adult, all these years later, he's still being held back by the emotions that were impressed upon him in an unknowingness state when he was young, and now he's being judgeful and scornful. That isn't your responsibility to heal judgeful or scornful. You can't. Only he can. The more you forgive yourself, the more his soul will begin to reflect a imbalance where he will be forced to look at it, or the soul will present lesson of lesson after lesson until finally he goes, man, I was really mean to you. I'm sorry. Even if it's 30 years later. Okay?
Yes. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay. The next thing
Thank
here
you
is
for everything.
It's a good idea for you to just, on a cyclical process, to break all contracts, vows, and agreements with him. And at the end he's saying, if there are true love-based unconditional agreements between us, we will have a relationship. But as long as you are enforcing me to have karma and belittling me and my journey, you have no real relevance in my unseen world. You are just another vampire, and the masses of vampires going, woe is me, I'm a vampire.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I created a lot of the situations that...
Sure, as a fetus in the womb, you set up a great opera. But any time you can close the page on the opera and make a brand new one. That is what your medicine journey is about. It's open a whole new era of light. Okay. Have you been able to do the Sanctuary of All Souls?
No, I haven't. But it's been on my to-do list for the week, for sure.
Okay, I would add that one to your journey process when you go to do your next ceremony tomorrow.
Before I do it?
No, see if you can bring it with you. See if you can bring it with you.
Okay, good.
And again, I'm working with the medicine guides. They're like, don't give away the fireworks.
I love to be surprised.
Yes.
So this is great. This is great. Thank
Be
you
ready
so
for the
much,
grand
Andrew.
joke and to laugh and purge and laugh and purge and laugh and purge until you cannot laugh and purge anymore. Okay? And when Eddie comes up to you and asks you all right, you say, yeah, I'm all right. I'm laughing my ass off while I'm purging. Thank God, free at last, free at last.
Love it.
All right.
That's gonna be something. Thank you so much for all the work you do, Andrew.
You are so welcome. Thank you so much for calling and sharing as people in between your ayahuasca ceremonies. That's the first time for the radio that someone is called in between ceremonies.
Hey, I had to connect with you somehow.
Next time somebody be calling me on cell phone from one of their ceremonies.
Oh my. Don't tempt me.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you, Andrew.
All righty.
Good night.
Good night.
$1969.
1969. First thing right away, do you remember moving a lot as a kid before you turned, do you know about that?
Yes, my parents would move a few times. Yeah, before I turned what age?
Like 6?
Yeah, there was a bit of moving. I was born in one area and then we moved a few times, yes.
Okay. This is something that has created a disresonance frequency. When you chose the mother and father that you're in right now, you had a spiritual contract in them that they were going to stay in one particular area so you could stay spiritually bonded with that energy and have a great co-creation with it later in your lifetime. And you never had that manifest. That means many, many things that you planned in your lifetime just weren't there in the manifestation of your life, and you had to go out and create a brand new plan. And it wasn't until your teenage years that you even realized that what you thought was your purpose wasn't even manifest now because you didn't have the relationships with specific people in specific places that you wanted. And your higher soul came in and said, all right, we're going to start from a clean slate and we're going to allow you to co-create this lifetime because you are not in the reincarnation grid this lifetime. You are in the incarnation. You were a freely incarnated choice soul in the mother and father frequency, but it was the mother and father who made a frequency change that said we aren't able to live in that area and we had to go into other places and other places. So when I look at the deeper soul you, I see this as a regular habit pattern where you get into the right body, to the right mother, to the right father, and something goes on and you can't stay bonded to the individual land that you intended to.
Anything else that stands out?
Yes, I'm going to push the envelope a little bit here. Have you ever considered going and doing something like an ayahuasca ceremony?
I barely understand what that is. It's very out of what I've been doing.
Do you know what it is?
No.
Ayahuasca, you've never heard of it?
I've heard of it, but to be honest, no, I don't know what it is.
Well, that is an experience you should never have this lifetime. I'm going to make that very apparent. You should never, ever, ever go and have ayahuasca this lifetime. Okay. It is far too much of powerful medicine for you this lifetime until you have gained a absolute grounding in where you live. Okay? Right. You are... Yeah, because it's going to really unground you for a very long time. And there are many people that have different experiences on ayahuasca. So you need to start searching for the mystical experience that doesn't use chemical relations, that doesn't use necessarily the plant medicines. Maybe there's something else out there, firewalking. It's vitally important that you begin to get some victories of mystical experiences so you can begin to build spiritual locomotion.
Right. Okay.
So mystery school adepts, teachers, hierophants, disciples, whatever, they're constantly looking for people to be followers. because it's their nature of the dual 0-point function. And with that, they create the hierarchical order so that the teachings can be refined, so people will have the human handbook at birth you never got. You know, why is your skin suit technology, you know, the manual written in Chinese and you're in English? You know, you're not supposed to be in that body. Then you need to get the right manual.
So basically the difference, and you can't really sign up for shamanism school, can you? I mean, are there special shaman schools?
You know, there are. I mean, one of the questions I was asked before, what's the main difference between shamanism and mystery schools? And the answer is advertising. and that it's got a joke behind it, but it's true. You know, is shamanism being advertised now? Yeah, it is. But it's a very different way than the mystery schools are being advertised. You know, you see the people that go and get the ayahuasca experience. Well, after that ayahuasca experience, their life's changed. And then they look for something that has a ceremonial community so they can go and recreate that experience where they're protected by a shaman who's not there to influence them or to install a second 0-point function, but there to hold space so you find your true sovereign seat of power in your heart and connect to the universe with all expression.
So as I'm listening to you with the explanations, I'm really seeing that when you speak of the shamanism and some of the different aspects and practices, it's more about that being using these aspects and practices to find themselves, whereas the mystery schools are teaching you understandings and ways and belief systems. So I guess that's the difference, the mechanics. And you can see that in the way you've explained it, the working with the fire, speaking with the fire, instead of doing a focused discipline at this moment in this way, focusing on these things. The shamanism feels a little bit more free in its aspects. What is that the impression you wanted to give?
In one way, yes, but the other way, it is the clan or the association of clans that ultimately is going to determine if that shamanism concept is, you know, fully expressed, or even is its own limiting factor. Let's say, you know, that clan you live in, you know, it only has enough resources to take 2 people out of every generation to be incarnated back into the family. So the volume of the family can be limiting, the nature of the family. You could only come in as a woman at this lifetime, and that may not be advantageous to your lifetime that you're trying to plan. So the mystery schools are a way for hundreds to get together over lifetimes that they may, you know, let's say you have 5 friends that are in a mystery school, and, you know, they kind of realize that they're not going to be able to incarnate every time that they want because it is a big challenge. Some may head off to do shamanism for 1 or 2 or 3 lifetimes in the random incarnation mode, while another one could try to do a mystery school and then try to go on a lifetime to meet and follow his other friends so that they can get back into their original mystery school as an adventure of a lifetime. I know that's kind of a tough metaphor to understand, but it's really being able to plan your future and you sharing those moments where groups remote view themselves and then can create a future where those 5 friends are in the same mystery school 500 years from now. And is that coterie, that camaraderie strong enough in their belief with that whatever the teacher is giving them in those sovereign places of power that have been created, like arenas or labyrinths or great alchemical fields of flower, which are going to create the future mead that yourself's going to be drinking.
All those ancient temples in Asia, where they have some of these schools in these incredibly old buildings and ancient stone layered temples and what have you. I mean, it's all out there. And the shamanism more as though I feel
you create
it's more nature,
and you create your own legacies each lifetime, and you don't go back to those ancient buildings like the mystery schools do. Your future generations that are coming in are going to make their own to pass on to them too. And the most powerful of those tools will be shared for the clans, for healing, for ending war, or for, you know, something that is, you know, special for that particular culture.
So we've already been joined by the next caller. The next caller is Doug. Doug, you there?
Hey, Andrew, how you doing?
Doing good. Where are you calling from?
I'm about 40 minutes north of Boston.
40 minutes north of Boston. So what kind of questions do you want to ask?
Well, I think I just want to start with, kind of delving back into my roots, origins, and how my lifetimes in the past are tied into this lifetime, and pretty much why this lifetime has been the way it's been, tied into that past, I believe.
Okay, I got a couple odd questions that I'm going to ask you before I go into your roots. Are you a cigarette smoker?
Am I a cigarette smoker now? No.
Yes. Did you in the past?
Yes.
Okay, when did you quit?
I mean, I smoked on and off for years, and the last time I smoked a cigarette was probably about 10 years ago.
All right, make sure you don't smoke another cigarette.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'm going to go into your timeline. You were a Native American tobacco farmer. This is the lifetime why everything is the way it is this time, upside down and inside out, topsy-turvy and juxtaposed. You were born into a DNA lineage that was a tobacco grower, a sacred plant grower, as well as sage grower, and you were taught the very powerful lessons of the plant. And you had many hundreds of lifetimes in dozens of different lineages, but it culminated into one particular lifetime just before Christopher Columbus landed here and founded the known flawed world, when in fact Europeans had been coming here for thousands of years, gathering other sacred plants because they were very special esoteric processes. You had a very, very special tobacco farm, sage farm, and other plants, materials that were there. And it was actually on sacred land. That was a prayer ground that was high in the Virginia mountains. And when Templars arrived, they wanted to trade gold and silver and also other esoteric relics to it. And you agreed to share some of the abundant crop that you had, and the crop made it there. And all of a sudden, you've noticed that there were dreamtime visitors to your ancient crop places, and you discovered that your place had been hijacked by the esoteric practices of the Templars, and you attempted to burn down your farm to make sure that other seeds psychic seeds weren't going to be grown into your farm. You were successful at that. One of the few shamans of that era that was able to burn their super special psychic farms that were manifest and growing, so that the dreaming attacks that were coming from the Templars and the coming and discovery of Columbus didn't begin to infest the dream worlds of the natives that were going to be consuming those plants for sacred practices. And this is the lifetime where you are at now, where returning to sacred practice is the ultimate meaning for your soul, to bring that manifest back into time and to kick off the reins of domination and control by returning to the power of ceremony.
And I've done that. I've been doing that most of my life, pretty much all my life.
Yeah. So there are other things that you grew in these psychic farms that were very powerful alchemical plants, and you have a heavy attachment to the way that the lineages of these plants were used in Europe. Particular, there was a vine that was used that very dark rituals were done over. They would wait for big battles that, had lots of bloody end, and they'd bury the bodies in shallow graves there, and they'd plant this vine over top of them that would begin to absorb the very flesh of the dead people below it, and it became very haunted, and that vine was used to torture people when in fact it was supposed to be a healing plant, a healing herb that cured things like the flu or influenza or smallpox or chickenpox, which, killed the Native American populations.
You still there?
So I'm still here. What other kind of questions you want to ask?
So how long ago did I emigrate to the Earth, and where did I come from?
16 million years ago, you emigrated here from an all-plant world. There were no two-legged, four-legged, or winged entities there. It was an entire flora world.
Everything was a tree, a flower, a version of a plant, and everything existed in unity until a form of domination and control entered its upper atmosphere at the North Pole level and created a dimensional warp system that began grabbing free-roaming, dreaming beings that had no feet suddenly being manifest into Earth. You were snatched from a world and brought here because you were a blank karmic slate being, and they needed to dump debt on you. And you became chattel at that moment to a moment in time where Earth was the dark queen of the universe, because Earth has both been the light queen and the dark queen simultaneously. In that evolution, Earth was the dark queen and plucked you from your home environment and forced you to be here.
Well, I mean, my whole life has been, I wouldn't say my whole life, but I'd say it all started around 1995. I was actually in my mid-20s then. I moved to California, and ever since then I've just had unprecedented amount of struggle and hardship. I mean, if I was to flip a coin 50 times wanting to come up heads, it'd come up 45 tails. I mean, there's nobody in my family, friends, anybody I know, they know, that's gone through the shit that I've gone through. And yet I still persevere, and I remain positive. But, you know, why is that happening? Why did it start back then? And when it seems like it's getting a little bit better, you know, the last couple of years, but it's unbelievable.
Well,
I'd say in some ways, the answer probably is not so much what you want to hear, but it's almost like it's a challenge for you on this earth, on this lifetime, to see how you go with adversity. I know that's not very comforting in many ways, but you've been through a lot of things. You've been through the wars, you know, you've survived. You don't even know anyone who's been through this much trauma and survived, or even this much trauma. It just shows you how strong your soul is and how much energy and what a warrior you can be. I know you don't see it like that, and it's hard to recognize that that is a good thing, but it is, because you're here today talking, and you have spiritual awareness. You're a powerful being within your own soul. Your journey is not over in this hardship at the moment, but you will find that only a few more years and everything will be very cruisy for you, because finally you will get to that point where you have overcome all the challenges you have set yourself. I guess the comforting thing is that it will come to an end.
Yeah,
Yes.
and my whole life, since I was a kid, I've just always felt, you know, really different from everybody else, and just been really into nature and spirituality, and always felt sort of wanting to be free and just feeling blocked, and just wanting to express but not being able, feeling kind of repressed at the same time.
But this is one of the reasons why you've chosen this time to come here and experience all this stuff. Had you been born in a different era, you wouldn't have had the same challenges. You could have chosen a much easier path as a being than you have now. So it's a testament to your strength that you've got this far and you're still overcoming things and moving on. And sometimes you think it's not a positive attitude, but you really do have a positive attitude. People learn from you, and you just don't realize that they do. They look at their own lives and think, I don't know what I'm moaning about, because look what he can do. But you just see your own experience rather than the inspiration you give others.
Exactly. You are the classic imprinted survivor. You ever seen the TV show with Bear Grylls, Survivor Man?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, think of that in a spiritual way. You were plucked from your world where you had never experienced arms or legs before, and brought into a world where you had arms and leg and DNA memories that weren't yours. And you survived till today intact. You're like that spiritual survivor man that's gone from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, that has just figured out how to survive in the area that is being presented to them. And it didn't change your core being enough that would alter you from your final resolution, which is to return back to your home world, but with all of the positive memories intact here and none of the debt. Because you know there are many of your brethren and sisters who are from your homeworld who also are here, or other versions of other beings and other planets who are also in a form of innocence, who are trapped in inner astral worlds or outer astral worlds, because other beings separate of Earth made a secondary slave system. And we are going to be suffering with that as an awakening species, that we are a slave species on the esoteric level, on the ghost level, on the ancestral level. And we all must break that simultaneously by giving forgiveness and equity and unity to all. That's the very nature of the plant world, equity and unity for all at all time. Everything has its own sacred space to grow in unity balance with the forest. The trees do not compete with each other. They allow each one to grow to its natural formation. And that is what you have always been doing, always growing to the patch of earth that you've been given in the skin suit that you've had.
Yeah, I definitely have a connection to plants and rocks and crystals and everything in nature. I've always been like that.
Do you ever do any rock hounding or going to open fields and looking for arrowheads from freshly turned fields?
I love doing that stuff. I love going to the beach and finding rocks and shells and going into caves and looking for rocks. And yeah, I love that stuff. It's like treasure hunting.
Yeah, well, here's a goal for you. 3 times a month during the summer, you want to make sure that you can call up places so you can go look at freshly overturned fields. In the spring when they overturn fields, or in the winter when they overturn fields, go out there and spend a couple $100 on a metal detector and allow yourself to make that a hobby that has spiritual release attached to it. And if you find a treasure, that hobby is paying you back with instant gratification.
Nice.
You need that in your life. Mm-hmm. Again, you're the survivalist. You have so many psychic skills at the super advanced caveman level that do not translate into this modern world. You have natural survival instincts on the spiritual level that can lead you to great places of power that can regenerate and recuperate your body, when a normal human being in its awakening process could stand in that area, in that sacred area, and never get anything from it.
Right. Yeah, I definitely resonate with what you're saying, definitely.
So what other kind of questions you have?
Okay, this is something that's bothered me. I think it was around 2000. I want to say it was 2004. My whole life, I was always felt feelings around holidays. You know, I was really excited around. I love Halloween and October and that feeling that associated, and then Christmas, that feeling, and then Easter, and Memorial Day. Every 4th of July, they all had a special feeling. And through my life, I was always looking forward to, feeling. Oh, this feels like Halloween. I love this feeling. Well, I want to say 2004, it just ended. From then on, every holiday is just another day. I don't feel anymore like that. It just went away. What happened there?
I think it's the raw excitement that you're missing. Like looking forward to any holiday. You have that. Well, everyone has that childish joy and the excitement, and you learn to look for magical things everywhere. But you get to a certain point as you get older where things, are not so shiny anymore. It's like, oh, yeah, been there, done that. And you lose that sort of, what is the word? Glass eyes, rose-colored glasses. And for you, I think one of the things that you could think about doing is just go back in your memories and think about what were the particular things that you found exciting about it. Like for Halloween, was it the candy that you got? Was there a certain candy that was just too exciting? Or was it the jack-o'-lanterns? In Memorial Day, was it the hot dogs? I mean, think about the things that gave you excitement and joy and rediscover that magic that you have forgotten about.
Yeah, I've tried. I get like a sliver of the feeling, but I can't grasp it. Like back then, it would just overwash me and just...
Did somebody die that year?
Not that year, but we lost a baby stillborn a couple years before then.
There you go.
It was pretty...
There you go. There's your answer why you lost the spark of life, because that baby wasn't there and wasn't sharing that frequency with you.
Yeah, hard to find the magic when you're carrying that around.
Yep. And that's an example of men carrying birth trauma. Even though that it was your partner that was giving birth, you still are holding on to the birth trauma of the baby that didn't make it.
And you can't share that childish wonder with someone.
Exactly.
It's
the innocent
that forlorn feeling. Yeah.
The survivalist in you. You lost another baby, and you're going through survivalist depression. knowing you will survive again, but you're giving yourself depression as part of the guilt that you think you have to go through to atone for the loss of a baby because you weren't strong enough in Darwin's environment to survive.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple healthy kids since then. That's brought a lot of joy back into my life. But
right. But that first one was important.
Well, yeah, there was quite a few miscarriages before that even happened. So
well, that's even more adding to the birth trauma. So, you have kids now and you're still losing that spice of life. That means from 2004 to now, for the last 11 years, it's becoming less and less and less and less and less. And there's a reason for that. Your soul has been expecting this survival game to end for a really long, long, long time. And it's not going to end until we as a species come together in some form of global unity where we share the common core moral code of do no harm. That's why you hear me always say nothing is going to happen tomorrow, no RV, no change, no awakening for anyone until you see people out in the street in the same scale and size of the 1960s and 70s and demanding change that uses the common moral code of do no harm to anyone and reforming government so that it is understood that if a government does harm, it is not a government, it is domination and control.
Right. So what can I do, to tap into my talents and to, really follow a passion that's going to lead me where I need to be to also help humanity?
Okay. Are you a musician this lifetime?
Yes.
Okay. What do you do?
I play guitar, I write lyrics. Not much of a singer, but I try.
Okay.
I paint.
You made
too.
money at it yet?
No.
That's
I've never really put myself out there very much. I'm kind of more just a bedroom
you need to make you need to literally make the transition between a hobby player and a money player. Okay? That is where you're going to find the highest form of interpersonal chemistry at the synaptic level by functioning in a band that has the potential of even making $20 a month. Okay. You need that in your frequency. You need yourself to be a practiced adept in music. So the other creative, lyrical genius side of you can begin to go through the muse co-creation process so that riffs and music and lyrics begin to change the world just like they did in the 1960s and 70s through the folk music.
I agree with that. I think also just getting your words out is going to be awesome for you. Just that satisfaction will be food for the soul.
Yeah, food for the soul.
Mm.
Felt like when I was in my 20s, I was so much clearer in my head and articulate and felt smarter and more creative, and it's just been blocked. What's going on with that?
Have you done any detoxes?
Not specific. I eat real healthy. I mean, I really do eat well.
Every person that's ever told me that they eat healthy, I say bullshit, because you are living in a toxic environment with toxic psychic energy around there, and that doing a detox twice a year is an absolute fundamental for anyone that's going in the awakening process. And if you are not doing 2 fastings or detox a year for yourself, anyone that's out there, you are faking the awakening, and you are a faux person. You are not really doing it. Everyone, no matter if you eat organic every day, you still need to do the interpersonal work that comes with the colonics, the colon cleanses, because 80% of your immune systems exist within your intestinal tract. Your entire dreaming body and how you process the infinite world lives within your intestinal tract. That is what we must focus on.
Okay. I can do that.
So, what other kind of questions do you have?
I want to talk a little bit about my wife. When I met her, it was just an unbelievable connection. Never felt like that with anybody, and she felt that way towards me. And we were, I'd say, we lived together for 5 years, and we got married. And she always had some issues with anger and stuff, but she's gone a full 180 where she is so bitter and mean to me. and I've just put up with it and put up with it for years and years, and it's just disturbing that she would have that much aggression and anger towards me when I've been so kind to her. It doesn't make sense. I don't know if it's tied into just going through those struggles or, as you talked about.
It looks hormonal to me. What age is she? It looks hormonal to me. What age is she now?
It looks like what? I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
Hormonal, like inside the biological chemistry.
Oh, right now, yeah. I mean, she's been very angry towards me for probably 15 years, but and nobody else. They see that this is a wonderful person. I'm like the whipping post. I've always said to her. I don't understand, but right now she's 45.
45. Has she gone through the menopause yet?
I don't believe so.
Because often before you have menopause, you have quite a few years of premenopause, and for varying people it can be very different. Sometimes it's only 6 months, 2 years, but for some people it can be 10 years either side. So when I look at her, to me it looks like it's a hormonal thing which she really can't control. Whether it's premenopausal or some kind of hormone imbalance, I couldn't tell you for sure, but I do know that she needs to have, I think it's maybe iron, magnesium, something like that. We probably have to look it up, or maybe Andrew could give you some more insight on that part of it. But to me, when she can fulfill and get her balance back, you will find the me goes away. But a lot of it is not about you. I know you think it's you, and it's all directed at you, but you're the one that she has access to most. That's why you catch the brunt of it. I would say if you sat her down and asked her honestly to have a clear discussion with you about it and asked her, is it that you can't control yourself sometimes and that's why you flip out or get mad or whatever it is, she would tell you yes. It sounds insane to her even when she says that out loud because it seems so illogical. But when you have, a hormonal or chemical imbalance, you really have no control over it.
Exactly, no control over it. You said before that she had a whole bunch of miscarriages. Did she take fertility drugs to try to get pregnant?
No.
How many miscarriages were there?
5.
5. This is the source of her anger.
Well, she was angry before that. She's always been angry, but what happened...
Listen to what I'm saying. It's still the source. Whether she was angry before or not is what is what created the miscarriages in the first place.
Right.
Okay? You have to acknowledge that. You have to acknowledge that. 5 attempts to bring life in. And now, 15 years later, and you have children, there's an extreme aggression and extreme anger because 5 lives didn't succeed in her. And you are, like Kathy was said, always the target because you're always there. She needs to look into herself and begin the self-healing process. She needs to seek spiritual counseling so that she can begin to release the miscarriage traumas. That's the most obvious thing right away. If she doesn't want to do that, that's her choice. Right. But you got to understand, you're really not going to be able to change the situation unless she tries to help herself and begin to acknowledge that there is some form of imbalance here in that you have become the target of rage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm moving on. It's not, I've told her it's over between us, but I still care about her even though she doesn't care about me anymore.
Right.
It's just the way I've always cared about her, and I wish we could go back to what we have, but she's changed and has this deep anger towards me for whatever reason, and people that know me don't understand. They don't believe it. They say, "Oh, not her." I say, "Well, you don't understand it. Behind closed doors, it doesn't even make sense."
Behind closed doors, it's a Medusa.
Exactly.
Okay, I get it. And there is the opposite where the women are like, the man is perfect, yet behind closed doors, he's the succubus.
Right.
Okay, that goes on and on and on and on. If you're ready for it to be over, then you end it.
And this is where contract revocation, using her specific name and using individual rage moments where it really hurts you, and you tell that signature frequency of that memory, I'm breaking all contracts, vows, and agreements with you, that I am severing my energy with you, that I cannot be the target of rage anymore because I am a sovereign individual being who does no harm to any sentient kind, and any avalanche of rage that is always ready to take place within your soul frequency can no longer be targeted at me. I call upon the ancestors, past, present, and future, to begin to build boundaries between me and her so that we no longer exchange these tidal waves and hurricanes of energy. I have reached a point where my personal process is just as important as her personal process, and I know inside my heart of hearts, if I am a healed healer, I can assist and change this world, which includes my past love, who may not be ready to heal in the moment of the now, but when the global dream time comes together, her soul family will be there to help her through that moment, and I will know with hindsight that I did the right thing by healing myself of the now.
I've never done a contract revocation, and I've been following you for 2 years, and I kind of feel inside it's been like the whole idea of whatever. It goes back to what you said with the survivor mentality. You know,
right.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right.
And it feels like I don't want to throw in the towel yet. Like I feel like I need to have
You're
more.
not throwing in the towel. You're changing the rules and saying, motherfuckers, I'm taking over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But it almost seems like the more abuse I take, I'm just getting that much stronger. When I do finally take over, I'll be that much stronger on the other side.
You'll be so much stronger in this side. It's not about the other side yet. You're not in no time. You're still in time dealing with karmic retribution and the karmic retribution. Give yourself the plateau to heal and let down and become the healed healer so that your greatest perspective is here in the now. So whatever it is that you do for this world on whatever scale that it is the best that you can do. I mean, you survived. You're here. You're now.
Yeah.
Now you've got to understand to take it to the next level means giving yourself time to nurture the wounds that you've gone through, to close the portals of rage that's been focused at you, so no other entity of rage will be attached to you or attracted to you, so that you find that natural soul frequency of love of a being that completes your heart space. Well, this has been really, really fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great to talk to you.
Thank you very much. Both have a great night.
You too.
Thank you.
So essentially, it is in a sense tracking the Mayan calendar that we are moving into unity consciousness and a golden age, quote unquote. But the difference being in this time frame or in this timescape that in the past ages where there's been a lessening of the densities of the sine wave has stretched out, there has been no graduation. So then it's contracted and expanded, but there haven't been any graduating classes in
38,000 years.
38,000 years. So, for instance, what's happened with Sirius and some of the other planets, that
their graduation is held up by ours.
So, is this really the big plug in the drain?
It's the cork on the champagne bottle.
Oh, okay.
Everyone wins.
Okay.
Everyone gets their ascension codes.
Okay.
Because for here it's finishing the global ascension code. So all beings have the property. All beings on the graduating timeline that have proven their graduation get the code to leave.
Okay, and that means that we have access to 7 universes, and there are 11 others that we have not accessed at yet.
Correct.
But we have access.
But they have access. Those others have access to us.
Okay.
Okay. So we will then go out to look for them.
Ah, so this is like the Explorer race.
Yes.
I think it was David Shapiro wrote about that. Wrote a whole series called the Explorer Race. Yes, and they're wonderful books.
Yes, wonderful books.
Yeah. So that's our destiny, and the illusions will drop for us.
For us.
For the 65%. And then that's when you said that we will be able to develop or become familiar with the spiritual technology of being multidimensional and being anywhere, so that we can...
Many people will get something that just looks like a desk, an office chair,
right,
and a monitor, and a second room that's right next to it. It looks like a relaxation room. The desk and the monitors for the 3D Matrix U to learn to create third eye visual or hologram room. The recreation room is to learn it without doing it with the technology.
Wow. So we will have, how will this technology, how will that be provided? Is that by a higher...
The technology that's waiting to be given to us simply because we are going to complete soul codes just by allowing us to physically meet. And that, for them, is huge.
And we'll be able to converse with each other? I mean, we'll be able...
in my opinion, what I'll do, I will offer events for the Galactic families to come to Mount Shasta.
Wonderful.
And offer humans to come there at the same time and intermeet them in a ceremony.
Wow, I'm getting chills.
So we all can get along.
Oh, I'm getting chills. And then, of course, you've got the beings of Telos and the rest
all
that
of
can
them
then...
there too can come in.
And we can meet.
A
the meeting
first time.
of the minds.
The soul family minds.
Yeah, wow. That is so wonderful. And then we will be, you said that we'll have the opportunity, if we so choose, and people will have different choices available to them.
Oh, yes.
But in our development of this technology, 25 years may pass for us, while those who don't graduate, who are not ready, are still in dream time, working on the technology, and we'll have an opportunity to place an avatar.
Well, there'll be many people who go fishing for loved ones caught in those dream worlds. And that will be service to the Earth's dream time, because you're choosing to be a healer. You're gonna insert yourself into that reality knowing it's fake, and do whatever you can do to get that person to
But we won't be stuck there like we feel like we are now.
You can go in and out of it.
Like we have to incarnate through the archontic grids and with,
that's gone.
Okay. So that is being replaced.
Yes.
And that is all part of the shift.
Correct.
Or the ascension process.
Once you take the incarnation grid completely out, back into the control of Earth, the greasy oil, the wheels greased.
Right, and that's another question I wanted to ask you. Originally, how did the organic process of incarnation work through the earth before it was corrupted?
It was a free-willed incarnation pattern that everything was done through spiritual cord of equity that the earth oversaw. So you would have one family lineage, soul family lineage, another soul family lineage, another soul family lineage. If this soul family lineage had a dispute amongst itself, it would go to the earth consciousness to read the Akashic record in total to give a judgment in neutrality for that single soul family.
Oh.
If two soul families came together, they contracted Earth to look at all of them and to figure out the issue. That's how they did that.
So Earth has been basically dominated and controlled, taken away out
because our genetics were changed in such a way that we no longer had the proper thing for the user manual of the human body.
And is that when the 15 families...
well, it began before the 15 beings, because there were ultimately even the other two big light and dark forces that were trying to go after Earth before the beings came in understood the importance, but the 15 beings were smarter than these other ones and weaseled their way in and locked them out.
Wow. Wow. But it wasn't through our invitation to experience duality and hardship.
No.
It was basically, this looks like a good situation. Let's see how we can outsmart them. And they did.
And they did.
And the 15 families that are operating at what dimensional existence?
6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Okay. So that tells us a lot. And then the archons, which are in control of the mind control and the incarnational process,
they're the ones that oversee the courts now, where Earth doesn't oversee the courts anymore.
Earth has been completely taken out of the court system. Where is Earth residing? Suppressed.
That part of her will is suppressed because our race doesn't know how to create courts of equity, spiritual courts of equity.
And it's been
because it's taken away by when our oral traditions were taken away.
And the indigenous tribes were murdered intentionally and replaced with
all the pipe holders too,
and the courts that we presently have.
Because the pipe was the presence of the court. So when they shared a pipe in court and in council, that pipe was a
could be psychometry, could be used on it to prove that there was a court with Earth, and that would be why the pipe holders were taken. And all the warriors, all the peacemakers, all of them.
Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.